I talked to two separate people that I ran into this week visiting from Scotland, and they both brought up the topic of Scotland breaking away from the UK. Both shared that even though it's a huge political topic, there's no clear consensus for it. Half the people are for it, and half the people are against it. That that sounds about right, but it's hardly a winning strategy. In Vegas, there's always the advantage given to the house to assure that they're always the winner long term. At some point, people catch on to the idea that the system is rigged against them. In the Jackson Browne song, Rebel Jesus, the lyric says, if you mess with the business of why there are always the poor in the world, well, then you're going to get what Jesus got. Welcome. Welcome to Conservative Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. This week at Conservative Coffee Hour, we started a new conversation about where we are, how we got here, and how we can get out of here. We talked about how the Republicans are probably not so good at being in the business of politics because at the heart of conservatism is the idea that less is more. Less government is more freedom. On the call, Paul Engel shared the Thomas Jefferson quote about when the government fears the people, there's freedom. And when people fear the government, there's tyranny. I think I think we all know where we are right now. And that was the whole point of turning the dial here at Conservative Coffee Hour to move from tactics to strategy. We're probably losing most of the battles, but how can we win the war long term? It's all about values. It's a values proposition. Most people are not a political party, and we're not defined by the government, or at least we shouldn't be. We need to re-engage, and we all need to be strong. Most of us already see ourselves that way. Seeing ourselves any other way is not very flattering. None of us want to be wrong, challenged, or disrespected, but we all probably are wrong about something, at least some of the time. We're not a country of 350 million individual countries. We're a nation together. It's godly because we're called to be in communion together. Devin Jones called this fellowship. And when they say our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values, well, I sometimes kind of want to bristle at that, but that is what it's all about, the togetherness of it all. So back to the strategy or fellowship of it all and where we want to go. Devin shared the idea that probably starts with our neighbor, talking to our neighbor and talking to our family and our friends. Paul Engel is finishing up a toolbox of resources that might help us to do that because it better defines some of our constitutional rights and opportunities here. And that information will help inform some of these conversations that we can have with others. Not everyone is going to be available or willing to avail themselves to Paul's 1 hour training, but we will. And then we can take all that information back to our people. If you're one of those people, well, then I encourage you to do that. We don't need to be in conversation with everyone, but the number of people we don't need to be in communication with is very small. It's not half the country. Larry said that the activist side of the political spectrum, the strong left or the strong right, is only like 1% of the people. There's no clear, strong consensus in any of it. And there's no consensus for any of the nonsense going on in this country. Where is it? Where is the strong consensus of we the people? Somewhere between the gathering of the flock and the scattering of the herd is the house advantage. It's the place where the bureaucracy lives and breathes. And it's where they make off with all the goods of power, money, and control. We're not Republican. We're not Democrat. In a democracy, we have a winner. we have a winner in the majority, but in a republic, we have a clear consensus, the clear consensus of the people. So here we are. We're working on this new thing at Conservative Coffee Hour. People are their values, the values of family, and every moral and social virtue. And in that is a clear consensus. Maybe that doesn't make for good politics, but it will over time. When I talked with the people from visiting from Scotland this week, both shared the belief that it's very likely the UK will cease to exist in just a few years. I said, well, I guess London really doesn't need the rest of the country to survive. And they both agreed that that was very probably true. The rest of the country is just dead weight. You can call us dead weight and the deplorables, whatever you want to call us. We're not going anywhere. And if the government wants to jettison us, well, all the better. Let's count on that and continue working on a plan to re-engage and reclaim our republic and start living out our values. And that will be a winning strategy. As we navigate out of the zero-sum game, let the political parties be the zero-sum winners and losers as we the people, win the war in fellowship and communion. If you would like to join us at Conservative Coffee Hour is every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.